So I think we can all agree that Life is Strange Reunion ended up being a overall positive surprise for the Life is Strange community. I think this game did a lot of damage control for what double exposure did to this franchise. I didn't hate double exposure, but you can't deny this game did a lot of damage to Life is Strange. And somehow Life is Strange Reunion ended up being a very enjoyable time. It's not perfect, but overall it was a pretty fun time. Anyway, this is not a video talking about what I like and dislike about double exposure or reunion. I want this video to be a discussion focusing on the ending of double exposure, and after seeing the effects it had in Life is Strange Reunion, I want this video to be simply talking about the possible effects double exposure's ending had on other characters. Okay, so in Life is Strange Double Exposure, Max has the ability to jump between two different timelines. One where Safi died, and one where Safi is alive. At the end of the game, Max fuses the two timelines together into one, and the residents of Caledon has the memories of both timelines crammed inside their heads. Over time, however, everyone else seems to forget that this happened, or at least they forgot that Max had something to do with it. And yeah, that could be the very simple answer to this very question. Were other characters throughout the Life is Strange universe affected by double exposure's ending? The short answer? Yes, but over time, they forgot. That's the boring explanation though. I want to go deeper. I want to theorize. I want to really discuss the potential effects double exposure had on the other characters. We obviously have some exceptions. Max of course remembers, Safi knows, and Moses remembers as well. Max pretty much made sure that Moses would remember because he was pretty much essential with helping her, training and just understanding her powers a bit better. Moses was great in Life is Strange Reunion, I just want to put that out there. I didn't really think much of him in Double Exposure, and that can be said for a lot of characters in Double Exposure. Reunion on the other hand, did a much better job with Moses as a character. I really appreciate his presence in this game. Safi obviously has a little bit of an awkward situation here though. With the two timelines merged into one, she knows that she died, but she didn't die at the same time. She's alive, but she remembers dying. This understandably messes her up a bit. Anyway, another character who's in a similar situation as Safi was Chloe Price. Double Exposure's many complaints was how Max and Chloe's relationship was handled. We're not going to touch on that much in this video. I think the way they handled Chloe returning in this game was done very well. That was always the biggest concern I had with the idea of Chloe returning. With how the original game ended, how do you bring her back? How do you continue her story? Having both endings being merged into one wibbly wobbly timey-wimey mess? Yeah, I guess that works. Indeed, Chloe is back, but there's a slight issue. Much like Safi, she has conflicting memories of the past. Events from Arcadia Bay from over 10 years ago, where she both survived the storm, but also getting shot and killed by Nathan. Somehow, she remembers both. And the game establishes that the storm never happened in Arcadia Bay now, thanks to the two timelines being merged to one. It's very confusing, but in a fascinating type of way. Like, I want to learn more. The fact that I don't fully understand it makes me want to learn and understand it as I progress through the game. And while I still have questions after finishing Life is Strange Reunion, I think I have a fair understanding on how it worked. And again, I think the way they handled Chloe's return was really well done. Chloe is by far my favourite character in Life is Strange Reunion. I just love the way she is in this game. It felt like no time has passed since I first played the original game with her and Max. It was such a delight to have Chloe not only return, but to have her return be handled pretty well and in a way that was both interesting and, in my opinion, just straight up fun for the player. So, Chloe has these conflicting memories. She died, but she also left Arcadia Bay with Max, but now she's kind of an anomaly. The events of Arcadia Bay did and didn't happen at the same time. She did and didn't die at the same time, and these conflicting memories is of course causing an issue. She's basically a walking, talking paradox. One of my favourite scenes involving Chloe in Reunion was her and Moses discussing what's going on with Chloe, and Moses suggesting what exactly is happening to her. Again, I really do appreciate Moses in this game. It is such an improvement compared to Double Exposure. But during my playthrough, I was wondering, what about other characters from the Life is Strange universe? How are they affected, if at all? Two timelines were brought together into one. Well, what about everyone else? What about the Arcadia Bay residents? What about Chloe's family? What about other characters throughout the Life is Strange universe? Did the ending of Double Exposure affect them at all? Well, let's discuss that. That is the main topic of this video, and I think it's about time we get that rolling. So the first question is simply, were other characters affected by this? Did other characters get affected within the Life is Strange universe by Max bringing two timelines together into one in Double Exposure? We never really get an answer, at least not a direct one, but I think it is a safe assumption thanks to this line of dialogue.
Arcadia Bay was brought back to life. Why aren't they stuck in that place too? My mom hasn't told me about any weird visions.
Have you told her about your visions? My point is, we don't know what's happening in Arcadia Bay. We can conjecture, but my focus is on helping you.
So even though she doesn't make an appearance in the game, Chloe and Joyce do message each other throughout the story, and they talk as if nothing happened from the original game, which is kind of true now. Again, we're dealing with a situation where the events of Life is Strange both happened and didn't happen at the same time. But thanks to the dialogue that we get from Moses and Chloe in this scene, I'm inclined to believe that potentially Joyce also has these conflicting memories/visions in her head. So even though she's talking to her daughter all willy-nilly and everything seems to be fine and well between the two of them, potentially Joyce does have these visions of the events of the original game, and the two endings being conflicting memories of what happened. Potentially, she's also having these weird dream sequences where she remembers Chloe dying, being shot by Nathan, but at the same time, she also remembers being killed by the storm at the end of the original game at the Two Wells Diner. What about other characters from Arcadia Bay? Kate, Nathan, Victoria, Warren? After the ending of Double Exposure, have they been affected by the two timelines merging? Does Warren, Victoria, and Kate have these conflicting memories as well? Dying by the storm, but at the same time, like Chloe, memories of being alive and well and just living their lives and getting on with it? Potentially, I think it's possible. Unlike Chloe, however, they don't have anything to connect it to Max, which could also be the explanation as to why none of them, including Warren, doesn't get in touch with Max about this. Because they don't have any reason to think that she's got anything to do with it. Just imagine, one day, Warren, Kate, Victoria, they're just chilling, living their lives, doing their thing, and then suddenly, Double Exposure's ending happens, and over time they start getting visions of being killed by this fucking storm out of nowhere in Arcadia Bay. Nathan's situation is a little bit different. His ending is either him killing Chloe or being killed by Jefferson. So would Nathan just be in a prison cell in this new merged timeline, where he suddenly gets these flashes of memories of the events of Arcadia Bay happening, shooting Chloe, but at the same time not killing Chloe, and then going through the rest of the events of the story, eventually being killed by Jefferson? What about Jefferson? He could potentially have 3 different conflicting visions and memories in his already messed up head, because Jefferson has technically 3 outcomes. He's either arrested alongside Nathan, potentially he survives the storm and is still taken to prison, or alternatively David shoots him. If another character from the original game could return in a future Life is Strange game, maybe it could be Warren. Have Warren return, and maybe the events of Double Exposure and Reunion could be brought up as part of his backstory? I don't know, I just think it would be nice to see Warren again. I liked him in the original game. And I think it would be good to see that he has changed over the years, developed, and moved on from having a crush on Max. And out of all the characters from the original game, even if he doesn't have the connection to Max, I feel like Warren would definitely be the one trying to figure out what these visions would mean if he was having them as well, like Chloe. Memories of being killed by a storm at Arcadia Bay, while at the same time, he's 10 years older, living his life, with the memory of attending Chloe's funeral. What about David? He's another interesting character for this discussion, because he survives the events of the original game regardless on what ending you get. So one day, David could be chilling, minding his own business, but then all of a sudden he's getting memories and flashbacks of both Chloe and Joyce being alive and dead at the same time? I can only imagine what that would do to David's mind if that was the case. If you sacrifice Arcadia Bay, we know that David and Chloe were able to patch things up pretty well, to the point when they were on really good terms with each other. So like I already said, would he also potentially have these visions or memories, basically seeing Chloe grow up into a young adult, but at the same time, suddenly he's getting memories of Chloe being shot and killed, attending her funeral, splitting up with Joyce, ending up where he is in Life is Strange 2, and probably getting very confused on how he suddenly remembers both Joyce and Chloe dying, but they're still alive. God, imagine if we actually got a family reunion with these three, just the three of them being together again after all these years. I remember getting shot by Nathan, but also surviving a storm. Mom, how about you? Well, that's funny, Chloe. I remember being killed by a storm, but I also remember attending your funeral. David, thoughts? Well, I survived the storm. That didn't happen, but did happen. Nathan shot and killed Chloe, but at the same time we were able to patch things up and spend the next 10 years being on good terms with each other. And Joyce, we separated after Chloe died, but you were also killed by that very storm you just mentioned. That didn't happen. Hot take for the video: if it was possible for another character to actually make a physical appearance in Life is Strange Reunion, I think I would have wanted it to be David, just to see exactly if this would have been the effects the double exposure ending would have on him, and regardless on that, just to see what his relationship with Chloe and Max would be now. Now let's talk about some characters that weren't in the original game but were still affected by the storm: Mikey and Steph. These two characters were introduced in Before the Storm, and they were pretty good friends with Chloe. Steph especially was good friends with both Chloe and Rachel. So how would the timeline merge affect these two characters? They obviously didn't die by the storm, but they remember the storm happening, wiping out Arcadia Bay, killing the people they care about. But now they would also potentially have memories of the storm never happening. I think Mikey and Steph would also have these conflicting memories from the events of the original game. And I think the most interesting thing of discussion regarding Steph especially would actually be Alex. Now obviously Alex wouldn't have anything to do with the events of the original game, so the two timelines merging into one probably wouldn't affect her at all. But what if she used her powers on Steph? So imagine you end True Colors with Steph and Alex together. The events of double exposure happens and Steph starts seeing the visions of these conflicting memories on what happened back in the original game. What effects would that have on not only Steph, but Alex if she used her powers on her? What emotions would she be feeling? Would she be feeling like the two different emotions that two different Stephs from the two timelines would have been feeling, merged into one? To be honest, I think if this did happen to Alex and Steph, Alex would probably be the one that would say, we need to look into this. I want to find out what the hell just happened. And hell, it doesn't even have to include Steph. Maybe with her powers, maybe it's possible that Alex would have felt something when Max brought the two timelines together. Even though she had nothing to do with the events of the original game or double exposure, that is still two timelines of the same person being merged into one. If that did affect Alex as well, how would she react? How would her powers react to it? Like I said, I think it would be something that she would become aware of. Obviously, she wouldn't have a clue on why it happened or how it happened, but I think it's possible with Alex's powers that she would potentially have felt something in her head when the two timelines merged together. And like I already said, if she was with Steph and Steph was affected by the two timelines becoming one, I believe that if Alex used her powers on Steph, not only would that probably send Alex into a weird vision state, I think Alex would probably be the one that would want to take action, potentially wanting to try and find this Chloe Price character. Steph, tell me about Chloe. Who is she? How can she be dead and alive at the same time? And how do you remember that she died and didn't die at the same time? We need to find her. I want answers. How about Sean and Brody from Life is Strange 2? This one's not a big deal, it wouldn't really affect their overall lives, I'm sure, but it's still something worth asking. Would they also now have conflicting memories of that scene from the first episode where they're looking over Arcadia Bay? Do they remember Arcadia Bay being fine, but at the same time they also see the plaque that confirms that a storm wiped out Arcadia Bay? since Sean and Daniel did meet David, and Sean specifically did get to see a picture of either Joyce or Chloe, like Alex, I wouldn't say it's impossible to say that Sean would potentially want to find this Chloe, or at least maybe reunite with David to try and ask him about what's going on. I don't even know how old Sean would be after the events of Double Exposure's ending, and obviously with how his story can end, like I said, I don't think the events of Arcadia Bay would really affect him all that much. However, I still think it makes for a fun discussion mentioning this as well. Just like Alex, if Sean did start getting these conflicting memories on what happened at Arcadia Bay, and if for whatever reason he would become aware of Chloe Price and be able to remember that that is the same Chloe that David mentioned, I like to think that Sean, like Alex, would maybe want to investigate. He would want to try and figure out what's going on, and David would be that potential first step for him to take. It's funny, isn't it? When Double Exposure ended, people were theorizing that maybe we would get a game that would bring all these characters together. And even though we're talking about a series that involves a certain character that can rewind time and travel between two different timelines, the concept just sounded ridiculous, and I agree. I don't think we should ever have a game that has all these protagonists meeting up and coming together. That's fanfic territory right there. With all that said, I must stress, I'm enjoying talking about this very topic in this video right now. And if we absolutely had to have a scenario that did bring these characters together, I find it funny that arguably the worst game in the series, especially the ending, is potentially the very thing that could work as a way to bring these characters together. Timelines were merged into one. Max has been rewinding time again. Residents of Arcadia Bay now have these conflicting memories of being taken out by a storm that didn't even happen now. But it did happen, but it didn't happen, but it did happen, but it didn't happen. Ah, my head hurts. Sean met David, and he has a picture of either Max and Chloe or a picture of him with Chloe and Joyce that you can look at. Alex can potentially end up with Steph, even if it's not in a romantic way. Alex and Steph are pretty much friends at the end of the game. So it is kind of funny that there are these characters that could link Sean and Alex to Max and Chloe, that could result in these characters coming together. Again, it probably should never happen. I don't think it should ever happen. I do, however, find it funny that if there was a way for it to happen, I think Double Exposure's ending could be the very thing that does result in the characters coming together, even if it's just brief, even if it's just a minor interaction, and then they go off to carry on their own separate journeys. The final character I want to talk about in this video is Max Caulfield herself. It's probably for the best that this didn't happen, and I think if any character wouldn't be affected by merging two timelines into one, it would obviously be the character that did the very action in the first place. However, let's just brainstorm this real quick. Imagine if, maybe not at first, but after she reunites with Chloe, Max also starts having visions or dream sequences based on the events on the original game. Maybe she also sees conflicting memories based on choices that you could have made from the original game. Maybe it would have been a bit of a cliche, especially if she ended up being an antagonist, but I am very surprised we never had an alternate Max Caulfield from another timeline showing up in the game. Whether that be from the original, Double Exposure, or even Reunion, I really thought we would have had an alternative Max appear in one of these games. That was the thing I was expecting to happen throughout all of Double Exposure. I thought we were going to see an alternative Max from the living world during our playthrough. When the other Max Caulfield showed up at the end of Chapter 3, I was very excited. I was legitimately very happy and interested in seeing the other Max. I was excited to see how this would go. What's the other Max Caulfield like? Maybe depending on our choices, both before and after meeting her, she becomes either an ally or an enemy? Is this another Max Caulfield from another timeline that has also jumped between the two worlds? Is this a Max that still has the rewind abilities in Double Exposure? Is this a Max that never stopped using rewind and just kept going again and again and again, trying to get things right? I had a lot of questions and a lot of excitement with the idea of another Max Caulfield being in Double Exposure. Then Chapter 3 ended the way it did, and I was disappointed. I had issues with the game, but I was still enjoying Chapters 1, 2 and 3. No joke, at the end of Chapter 3, and the beginning of Chapter 4, Even though I do like that scene with Max and Safi talking about their abilities, I think that is where the game started to lose me just entirely in regards to the story. And while I wasn't really expecting it to happen in Reunion, I was still thinking that it is possible for another Max to appear in this game. Not Safi pretending to be Max, a genuine Max Caulfield from another timeline. With that said, I wouldn't take away what we got from Mirror Max. That whole scene with Max getting high and talking to Mirror Max, I wouldn't change that at all. I fucking love that scene so much. It's so much fun. It gave us a fun interaction with Max and Chloe. This line in particular stands out to me for no reason at all.
You're so pretty. I think this is the part where we're supposed to kiss. I can't figure out which one of your lips is the right one.
With all that said, I think I've rambled enough about this topic. I would love to hear your guys' theories and opinions on this subject. Like I said at the start of the video, realistically the simple answer is no, other characters weren't affected, or yes, the characters were affected by two timelines merging together, but eventually they forgot. If it were possible for them to remember, if it were possible for them to just be affected differently, what do you think? Would two timelines being merged into one affect Alex and her powers? Would it have any effect on Sean, Daniel, David, Joyce, everyone that freaking died in Arcadia Bay, if you choose to sacrifice it? They've never been relevant in the story, but what about Max's parents? Would they have been affected at all? I know I haven't really come up with a definitive answer myself in this video, but I think this topic is a very fun discussion to have for Life is Strange. I don't know what to expect moving forward. This might very well be the last Life is Strange game in the series. If that does end up being the case, I'm glad it goes out on a high note. Somehow Life is Strange Reunion was able to fix a lot of mistakes that Double Exposure made. And while you could still make the argument that Max and Chloe should have never returned, I'm glad they did. I'm glad Max came back. One thing I enjoyed about Double Exposure was playing as Max again. I had no issues with that. And now, after seeing how it was handled in Reunion, I am very satisfied with Max and Chloe having one last adventure together. Who knows what's next for Life is Strange? Maybe that's it, maybe we will get another game in the future. I definitely think, even despite some of the things I said in this video today, it would be best to leave Max and Chloe alone. If you still want to bring back characters from previous games, that can work, depending on who it was, but let's not have Max and Chloe show up ever again. They could still be referenced, they could still have Easter egg appearances, they could still be mentioned by other characters. If a character like, say, Warren made a comeback, or maybe Diamond. Remember Diamond? She was one of the many forgettable characters in Double Exposure, and while the majority of Double Exposure's cast got to come back in Reunion and actually be a little bit more significant and important, Diamond just got the shaft. She got benched. So maybe a future Life is Strange game can focus on her. Anyway, I think I'm going to hop over to the other timeline now. Until next time, see you later.